Women doctors, we hear you. We know your struggles. We know what it's like to be a female doctor in this dominant world. And guess what? Dr. Summer Casmel and myself teamed up together and created Women Dentists Connect. We wanted to create a safe, educational, and inspirational place to come and ask those crazy questions that you don't want to ask. We know that being a female doctor is different than it is for male doctors. You just have different issues, different questions, different concerns. So Dr. Summer Casmel and I are actually hosting a live event in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona on October 11th and 12th. This is for women doctors and their teams. We're talking business. We're talking issues that female doctors face. We're talking team breakouts, how to really rally your team. And we're giving you hundreds of tangibles that you can take home and implement Monday morning. We're also having an amazing lineup of speakers where you'll actually get CE for attending. So come on in. We can't wait to see you. We only have a handful of people that we're allowing in. So run on over to womendentistsconnect.com. Use the coupon code podcast to get the Dental 18 family coupon. Guys, I cannot wait. I would love to see you there. I'd love to connect with you, learn from you, and share. So hop on over Women Dentists Connect. I can't wait to see you in October. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental 18 podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
Two perspectives, one mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. Alrighty guys, it is our Thursday, Monday morning mashup. What does this mean for all of you that are just joining us? That means our episode today is going to be one of those episodes that you can share with your team to use for your team meeting. We made these specific for you so that way those meetings are hard to come up with. Whether you have your meetings on Monday mornings, Tuesday mornings, Wednesday mornings, I don't really care. But these are a topic for you and your team to jump in together, share with one another this podcast, and make your meetings easier, more effective, and productive. All right, let's get started with our Monday morning mashup. Hello, Dental 18 listeners. This is Kiera Dent, and today I'm going to talk to you about systems. Dun, 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 dun. Systems. I get asked all the time, hey, Kiera, let's implement systems. What are we going to do for systems? What system do I start with? What are systems? So let's talk about systems. I define a system as something that can be implemented where without talking to somebody else could come in and fit into the system. So think about McDonald's. They're great. They're awesome. Anyone can literally be hired, put into McDonald's, you can make a hamburger. You look at the picture. There's the bun, there's the 3 pickles, there's the onion spread, ketchup, mustard, burger, cheese, done. Out the door, wrap it like this. They have a system. Anybody can be plugged into that system and do it. So when we go into offices, we talk about having a systems-driven practice, not a people-dependent practice. So where do you even start? This is a question I get asked all the time. For me, I baseline. I build a foundation. What are the biggest foundational pieces that could benefit a practice? For me, I like to start with end-of-day checklists because a checklist is so simple. It's very easy to work with your team. End-of-day checklist keeps people in their lane, make sure that we're all accountable at the end of the day. It ensures that we check off these boxes. It also will build systems of things each team member should be doing. So an end-of-day checklist is a great place to start when you're talking about systems. I also love morning huddle. So I bookend. I'll do the morning and I do the end of the day. Those are two prime pieces. Morning huddle. Here's a form. Any person can follow this form without me even speaking to them. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It's super easy. It's printed out, laminated. They write on it. We prep for our day to look for same-day treatment, to look for recare opportunities. That's a system you can follow. And then we have the system of handoffs with route slips. It's very easy. I have found that a system typically needs to be tangible and written down. Otherwise, we're relying on the human brain, which, let's be real, human brains are awesome, but they don't always remember everything. And so if they're not remembering everything, we have to have a system that doesn't require us to remember. You don't walk into McDonald's and they remind you, hey, put 3 pickles on the burger, not 2. You have to remember it's only 3 pickles, not 2. That's something that's requiring human brains to remember. Instead, systems should be something that's put into place where you don't need to remember. So having the system of handoffs, I purposely do this because that's through the middle of the day. If I have perfect handoffs, that's going to impact my case acceptance. It's going to help with reappointment percentages. It's going to give an amazing patient experience because the handoff is consistent every single time. Our TCs, it doesn't matter who's coming up to us. Every single handoff is the perfect way. I also like systems to be kind of like a recipe. What type of cookies are you getting at the end of your recipe? With your handoff, are we getting great case acceptance or are we not getting great case acceptance? Why are we even doing this? So those are 3 quick systems you could put into place right now. If you already have those, sweet, let's move on. So then we look at what other systems do we need. I also have seen offices that go like crazy town on the opposite end of systemization, where every single thing is so systematized that you have robots working for you. I think that that's the extreme. You don't want robots. You want to have autonomy as well, so people can still be their person, but follow a system. So other good things are scripting and role playing. These are great systems to put into place because sometimes that recipe, is it giving you the results you're looking for, or are we not getting the results? The only way to know is to try it out, and that's the role playing. So I like systems also let's go into our scripting for the front office. Let's talk about some systems for the front office that you could implement. I think a lot of it is scripting. So what do we say for a new patient phone call? Donna and I did an amazing 5-minute new patient phone call. Go listen to that podcast. Right there, your scripting is made for you. Your appointment protocol is put into place. Everybody can follow this. What about scripting for a patient who is needing to cancel? Do you have scripting for that? Have you role played that out? Does everybody know what to do without talking to each other? Is it so crystal clear, written down step by step? Do you have that protocol in place? That is a system. What about the system for how do we schedule? Scheduling. That is that crazy topic that everybody struggles with. What is your system for that? How do you do this system? Do we stagger schedule? What appointments can go next to each other? Do we have it drawn out? And do we check in on the system all the time? What about systems for hygiene? When do we call on recare? Do we have set days? What about for AR? Do we have set days that we work on our accounts receivable for patients and our accounts receivable for insurance? Do we have certain times that we do our statements? Do we have a set way of how we enter our checks? Do we have a set way for our write-offs? Do we have a write-off explaining everything so that way nobody has to go back to the biller? We know what was written off, how much, and why. Is that in there? All these little pieces are systems. So look at yourself. Where are the systems? Tiffany and I just created a quick little scorecard, if you will, of 100 items of things that we believe are systems for all departments. It's not perfect. It's still a work in progress. If you guys want to shoot it on over, we're happy to share it with you. info@thedentalateam.com. We're happy to share it with you. But the reality is, what systems? And also check yourself. Are we making a system to fix another system? And how could we simplify? I think 100 is a lot of systems, but also dental practices are pretty busy. So how do you get systematized? I think also look to see where your biggest breakdown is right now. So that's where we go to building an issues list. We've talked about running a level 10 meeting. If you haven't listened to that podcast, go snag the level 10 meeting. We just did it at Mastermind as well, and it was fantastic to teach people. Build an issues list. Look to see what is the biggest broken piece. The way you build an issues list is everyone in your team meeting comes up with all the problems or the things that they'd like to see changed. So what about PTO? What about our schedule? What about communication? We're really struggling with having new patients convert to treatment. Our hygienists are not producing 3 times their pay. Our doctor, we can't increase production. We don't know what's going on with production. We're struggling with our case acceptance. Our Google reviews are super low. Our new patient flow is low. All those are issues. So build this whole list and then look at it. What is the number one thing on that list that you could change today that you could identify, define, solve forever that would impact your practice the most? Build a system to fix that. What I found is a lot of times we're over systematized or we keep doing systems that maybe don't get the same results we're looking for. So in my company, every quarter we do a quarterly meeting. You guys, I'm not making this up. I don't want to give you these ideas of what I want to do. No, I literally am doing a quarterly meeting. And what I found is these quarterly meetings are so effective because what they do is they force us to look at the bigger issues and then decide, are our systems still working or do we need to revamp this? What needs to change? So, for example, Tiffany and I, we built our Google Drive for our consultants. It was awesome when Tiff and I first built it. It was just me and her. Well, guess what? We've added in several new consultants. That Google Drive did not make sense to anybody else. It worked for Tiffany and myself. We had a system. Tiff and I could work in the Google Drive. We knew because we built this thing. It made sense to us. Well, we bring in new people. Thankfully, those new people were willing to give us feedback. I try really hard to have a culture of telling people, hey, make us better. We want to be the most effective and efficient company, and we want it to be the best experience that you've ever had working. So help us make it better. They come from their different experiences. What we realized was our Google Drive was a great system, so we didn't want to get rid of the Google Drive. What we needed to do was we needed to clean it up, and we needed to build another way for people that weren't like I'm tangible. Tiffany's not tangible. I want to have a manual that I can physically look through. That way I can see all the forms. Tiffany's not that way. But guess what? We have two different people. That's easy. The solution is we print out a manual for all of our new consultants. They have it. They can look through all of our forms so they know what's in there. Then they can go into the Google Drive, find it, and update it. We also realized we had made so many duplicates of forms that we needed to clean up that drive, get rid of it so our consultants could know exactly which piece it was. That was a system we had in place. Our communication, our training, all of our tools, everything that we've done for every office is sitting in the Google Drive. It's very simple. We have an explanatory page. This is where you go. This is how you find it. This is how you search. It's all laid out. That is a perfect system. However, our system was broken in the fact that we hadn't cleaned out the clutter. So we didn't need to build a new system. Well, technically, I added one thing. I just changed up Tiffany's scorecard monthly to have her go on and clean up Google Drive every single month to make sure it stays clean. So all I had to do was fine tune it, utilize the people that were coming in, and make sure the system was getting the results we were looking for. Other systems, we wanted to work on our dental A team, patient, or well, you guys aren't patients, customer experience. So what is their experience when they're coming in? We used to have a really crazy town process for how we were having our podcast work. It was, I would upload it to a place, nobody could find it. And then we lost some podcasts and I was like, what? I've been recording. And then we didn't know who it was going to. We didn't know who was taking care of it. That was a broken system. The podcast was not going from Kiera to iTunes or YouTube in a structured manner. There was no system there. That was a very broken piece. It was very glaring because it was hard. It was cumbersome. That's how I could find that piece. So what we did is we figured out, okay, we wrote down all the steps. What's from step 1 to step 10? What needs to happen in between all these? How could we simplify? How could we consolidate this? And then we built a system, written protocol, divided it out. Nobody has to talk to anybody and they can follow the protocol of how to do the podcast from record to production in a very simple format. That's a system. So I think breaking that down, how do you make a system? I think sometimes the collaborative of a whole team, like, okay, guys, what is our new patient experience going to look like from step 1 to step 10? And how can we make this the most simplified, easiest manner? Sometimes we make a novel of the patient experience is going to be 25 pages long, and this is what we need to do. Guess what? That's really hard for people to remember. How can you simplify your system to make it practical and implementable? What can you do on these? Use the whole team. All right, guys, in 10 steps, what do we need to do so we don't forget anything to make the new patient experience incredible? That's a system. Okay, team, how can we make sure our hygienists are always hitting 3 times their pay? What needs to happen in here? How can we simplify that? Build a system. Okay, team, how can we make sure that assistants never, ever, ever get up out of the room when doctors are in there and we're assisting? What is a system we need to do to get rid of this forever? And as your practice morphs and evolves, some of these systems will be long-term. But just like technology, just like the human being, everything evolves. Make sure your practice is evolving and you're checking your systems. Are they actually getting the results I'm looking for? Or are they just a system for a system's sake? What do I need to do? I would say the best piece of advice I can give you is when you're systematizing, simplify. Simplify as often as possible. Don't keep adding system upon system upon system. Like we have a system to fix this system because that system didn't work. That's complicated. That's hard. Wait, which way are we doing the new patient protocol? How are we doing this? Get rid of the old one. Replace it with the new one. Tiffany and I got real scared when we were doing this. So we have a file of old just in case we want to go back to it. But we had to get rid of them. They had to be where are we currently at today. We got rid of them. That way every single person knew here is the protocol. This is what we're doing. Making sure you check to simplify. Simplification, I believe, is systemization. How can you simplify the process? Make it easier. Look at McDonald's. I guarantee you it used to be 5 pickles or 20 onions or 2, we do this bun and we do this. They've had to figure out their systems, and I guarantee you they're constantly evolving it. I go back to McDonald's because you guys watch The Founder about McDonald's. It's a brilliant franchise. It's a brilliant systems. Look at bigger companies. How do they systematize? What do they do to systematize? How can you simplify it? I think so often we're like, well, we don't want to forget this step and we don't want to forget that step. I a lot of times challenge myself and I'm like, okay, well, if they're forgetting these steps, what could I do now to go back and simplify it so they don't forget it without adding? Sometimes I still have to add in. That's not the point. The point is always ask yourself, how could we do this smarter, more efficiently, less costly, and happier employees? Those are like 4 guiding questions for yourself. How do we do this smarter? How do we do this more efficiently? How do we do this more financially effective? And how do we have happier people? When you guide yourself with those leading questions, you then can find systems that are easier. You'll find that some of your systems might need to go away. Some of them aren't working. Some of them are too complex. Maybe we had an old office manager. Maybe we had an old person. Why are we even doing these? Challenge the questions of the systemization, but find it. So to break this down, where do you even start? I gave you the quick jump start. End of day checklists, morning huddles, route slips with handoffs. That is your entire day wrapped up into 3 easy systems. Very simple, very easy to implement. After that, build an issues list with your team. Get a collaborative effort. Look to see what it is. Also, the next step would be assess the systems you have. Are they getting the results you want? And are they easy enough that any person could do it? If not, we probably have missed the boat. If so, you're on track. And then always be morphing. Every quarter, look at your systems. Hey guys, what could we simplify? Ask your team. Write those questions up on the wall. As an office, as a company, our job is to look to see how we can do things more effectively, more efficiently, more cost effective, and for happier people. How could we do it? Have the whole team looking for this, because that's how you build a very systems driven practice. It's not person dependent, but it's systems dependent. Any person can get in there. Think about McDonald's. Think about bigger franchises. No, I'm not saying go corporate. I'm not saying that you should be that way, but it's also very easy. There's a system for the podcast. Nobody has to talk to me. They don't have to ask me, hey, Kiera, what do we do for this? What do we do for that? They can autonomously work. I believe that when employees can autonomously work, doctors are happier, employees are happier. We have check-ins with each other. We can move forward directly. I think we overcomplicate. We don't keep things simple enough. All right, guys, go get systematized. Let us know what things are working for you. I believe that the collaborative spirit of the Dental A team is where we can make the best of the best practices and really share with each other. So go out, get systematized. Tell us some of your favorite systems. How do you do it? I believe, like I said, that collaborative effort, share it. Also, if this podcast is helping you and your practice, you guys are loving it, please share it with your other dental friends. We have a huge, amazing dental community, and the best way that we can get more listeners and help people and have better resources is by sharing this podcast. So please go out, share with your friends, share with your coworkers, get people to join with us and become the movement of the Dental A team, where we really develop A teams out there. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. I'll catch you next time on the Dental A Team podcast. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.